Um, Good afternoon. My name is Juma. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are watching me from. I want us to talk about the communicative challenges the Kenyan non-governmental organizations face. Um, One of the issues is to do with how do we, for example, measure your impact. How do you navigate the crisis, when it strikes? How do you manage to nail that story so that the editor can really see it? And how do you even access to the media? Is it mainstream media? Is it in-house project? Is it something to do with the language barrier, for example? How do you even navigate all these aspects, including the question of limited resources? Many a times we want to tell huge stories. We want to tell a catastrophic stories on how our interventions as non-governmental organizations brought some kind of easiness when it comes to alleviating the challenge. But then we are looking at long-term projects, for example, a World Bank, doing a project that can last for 50 years, 20 years, or, then there's another organization that is doing a project that can only last as far as they are financed. Whether it's a one-day event, whether it's a one-month project, whether it's a 10 years project, you need communication to be embedded in all that you do, just like the monitoring and evaluation team. So one of the issues that has bedeviled the NGO sector in terms of issues to do with communication challenges is majorly to do with resources. We are looking at non-governmental organizations which are not yet financially stable. We are depending on donations, we are depending on goodwill, and these equally affect the budget or rather the resources that would otherwise be meant for the media. You want to be out there, the mainstream media, they are big gabblers, they're big on issues finance. They want money to give out that story, they want money to cover you sometimes, they want money. But having sat in the newsroom for quite some time, you realize that it's not purely about money. We are looking at quality stories. You have been doing a project. How is it beneficial to my listener as a journalist? How is it beneficial to you as the organization? That is where we should strike a balance. I'm looking at a scenario where, for example, from the media perspective, I want to run a series of stories pertaining the plight of refugees, or even engaging the youth on issues development. And I want to understand how best do we reposition this so that there is that mutual understanding and there is that mutual benefit, if I may use the word benefit. So we are looking at an NGO benefiting from media services, then also media as part of their strategy benefiting from the content that whose givers of the content, or rather whose sources actually have been supplied by an NGO. There's usually been a problem when it comes to who will in fact facilitate, the journalist into the field. Are we looking at the company or the NGO? Are we looking at a cost sharing kind of formula, or are we looking at a scenario where maybe the company already has journalists in those areas? So those are the issues that one has to look at when it comes to issues of limited resources. You can collaborate on content, can say, okay, look, we are giving you this kind of stories to amplify our impact on the ground, but in return, we are only able to maybe give a stipend to 2 or 3 journalists to go and cover this. So the company, the media house, is not spending per se, but we are giving you the contacts of the people who have benefited from this project. We have been able to identify them. We want you to talk to them about this and this and this. So we go there knowing that, look, the organization that we are working with has been instrumental in getting us some of these people who are supposed to respond to our issues. What I would say another problem has always been the question of language and culture. The question of language and culture. We have media houses that actually they are strictly either one language driven, like either Kiswahili or English, save for a few media houses in Kenya which are now currently embracing the issue of use of vernacular radio stations. So in that case, it becomes easier. But again, look at a scenario where you have no interpreter, for example. You have a problem with working in diverse communities down at the bottom of the pyramid, where people, maybe, for example, because of poverty, because of financial or other economic challenges, they have not been able to go to school, so they cannot even speak Swahili, or they cannot speak in English, or, for those other languages. Like if you're doing a project in Ethiopia and you have an English journalist on the ground and they can't, for example, comprehend Amharic, how do you navigate that kind of situation? So one must be able to appreciate the culture of the people they are going to interview. For example, the organization with which the journalist has been embedded can help maybe get a translator, or maybe get a volunteer who has been working in that particular area to just have this information simplified to the people. Then we have issues to do with the complex or other technical content. At times, we have organizations that deal with very complex human rights issues. For example, issues to do with the human rights pertaining to the sick people. You want to tell the story how you have been able to eradicate issues like, you've been able to manage issues like HIV and AIDS. You want to tell us how you have managed issues to do with, for example, fistula. But then we also have the moral question attached to it. Are you going, for example, you're working to end teenage pregnancy and you are running into a hoodwink with some of the parents because they have been accused of maybe, raping their children. Do you get into the legal jargon, or do you get into the issues that really would only benefit the journalist? Another issue has always been to do with that ability to build trust and credibility. Who are the people you are talking to? Are they credible enough? Are they able to give that trusted information, or are you going to use that information to mislead your masses? You are saying that the project has benefited 1,000 people. Is it tenable? Is it really realistic? Are we good with that number? I think that's been the issue as well. So, and then another problem that has faced the government organizations in Kenya is more of, the very access to the media itself. You realize that either by virtue of wrong pitching, the editor is not able to send you a reporter for that particular assignment, or maybe you are undertaking a project in a far-flung area, and then maybe we have communication issues, we have challenges in accessing the area, so it becomes hard. I want to believe that there are ways, the NGO can leverage the fact that technology is now better in Kenya. We have the mobile telephony, we have everything to collect some of those developmental stories, for purposes of the media. You can actually go as an NGO, collect this information, then liaise with the media, partner with the media, give them this content, so that they are able to either use them on their platforms, or you can use them on your own social media channels. You can use them on all that really matters to your name. Then another big question has been about How do you measure the impact of how do you measure the impact that comes with the communication itself? Are we seeing change by virtue of having run that program? Are we seeing change by virtue of the uptake, for example? Are we seeing an increased uptake? Are people appreciating your message? How did you package that message? How did you navigate the crisis of trust? How did you navigate the crisis of maybe picking people wrongly to represent you? So those are the issues that really a communication consultant should really come in handy to help you navigate some of those challenging situations, so that at the end of the day, you deliver the message. You don't deliver garbage to the media. You don't, exaggerate issues that you've been engaged in. As perfectly as put, people can appreciate the fact that you're doing something on the ground, so it becomes easier. So guys, for that reason, I feel sorry. So guys, for that reason, I feel there is more that a media house, or there is more that an organization can come in and help for whatever it is. The tiny story can bloom up to being a big national story, and this only has to do with how are you packaging your information, how are you speaking to the media, and all that. So thank you guys. My name is Crispinas Juma. We will keep having this conversation from time to time, so that people understand what is it like. How do you juggle between development and communication? How do you get to the media? How do you get your stories out? And how best, who are these best people to talk to when it comes to pushing out your development and communication ideas? Thank you.